our next guest, I believe, has been a part of this event in some way, shape, or form for all 22 years, all the way back to when he was a Calder Trophy of Vezina candidate goaltender for the Boston Bruins. The great Andrew Raycroft is here this morning.
Oh, thanks for working the great in.
Was that 18? Was that how long ago?
No, that's literally 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
You can't be that old.
20 years. 20 years ago.
You can't be that old.
Contain yourself, please. Stay over on this side of the room.
So
We know it's electric when this guy's around.
Yeah,
Electric.
I mean, the ladies love when Razor comes on.
You lead the charge.
Well, I speak for them.
You speak for them.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Right.
That is nice. That is nice. How you been? How's your summer?
Wonderful. Yeah, really good summer. Went back to Canada for a couple weeks, so I was enjoying your lead yesterday.
Did you use the restroom at the beach, or just
yes, I did.
Stand? Okay.
We have some educating to do in Canada, but we'll get to that. Yeah.
I think you said you heard my lead the other day, and
yes.
You felt bad for your country in general, or
we have to just do a little more educating on some of the cultures that we have, like not pooping on beaches.
Yeah, are they pooping on beaches in Canada?
No, it's a real thing. No.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a France thing.
In a hole, and they cover it up.
Yeah, no, and there's like, anyways, today's not the day for it.
It's not. What is this being here today and being a part of this for so many years? What's it mean to you?
Well, it means so much, and I think because I'm not from here, it means even more that I've been able to now live here, move my life here, have my kids here, have them in the car this morning talking about the Jimmy Fund and what it is and how much it means. And when we talk to all the guests and they talk about, the same idea of when they were kids and Curtis grew up with it and we all grew up with it and knowing how much it means and just hearing my kids talk about it is pretty cool. And again, just walking in thinking that I'd be doing this 20 years ago when I was, when there was the first couple of years of this event is always wild to me.
Well, and it's so interesting in this city. And I'm a clear lifelong homer, so correct me if I'm wrong. But when it comes to players who go out of their way to visit kids who are fighting this, it seems like this is one of the better cities when it comes to that. And I don't know if that's ingrained in you. We were talking to Sam Kennedy about the Red Sox, when they got their rookies in here, sending them to Dana-Farber to see what's going on. I think that's been certainly the Bruins have made that a part kind of their fabric of the necessity that you get involved in the community. And I think it's different than other places, maybe not everywhere, but definitely.
Well, all the other places that I went to, it certainly is. And I suppose because of where we live and all the hospitals that are here and all the schools that are here, that's a focus. But it's also because this is so important and this is such an amazing cause. And it is ingrained. You come when we first started, I think it started a little bit later. Like I was here for training camp as a young guy while the Jimmy Fund was going on. And we were around it right away. And, certainly guys like Patrice and Brad Marchand now have led the way. And lead the young kids into getting in there, getting into the hospital.
I think we all remember our first impactful moment when it comes to Dana-Farber and the Jimmy Fund. And do you remember yours? I mean, if you're a rookie and you're here and you're in training camp and this is going on, that's one thing. But there is always a moment that sticks with you, 20 years later.
Well, I remember going to do the Christmas presents, right? We did the Christmas presents and we dropped them off at the hospital during this time, and that I remember that to this day. And then I think coming back and actually being older, really understanding what it means, having my own kids, understanding what the families are going through over the last 5 years, being a part of it has meant even more probably.
Yeah, I think it's something that I would have laughed at, but prior to having a child, this just feels so different, and you can tell yourself it's different, and you can be a sentient human and know that, but the experience of seeing kids that are the age of your child enduring this, I think it's so amazing, and you gain a newfound respect for people like you, Razor and Wiggy, who were athletes that made time to give back and to go in there, and it'd be great to be a professional athlete. We all think we'd go and do everything that's noble and proper, but what you guys and the Bruins specifically do are some of the most helpful and generous acts of kindness that go to the clinic almost every week during the season.
Well, and also some of us would have been if not for poor coaching.
Right.
The knee injury.
Right.
Your sophomore year of high
Right.
school, that knee injury.
I would have been in
That's everybody.
I would have been in the PGA if I didn't dent my head on the golf cart.
By the way, what is your guess at what is going on with Jeremy Swayman?
I think everyone's just on vacation. You know, we've had a few weddings. Everyone's traveling,
Okay.
and
So they were waiting till David Pasternak got married.
well,
and-
it's almost it's almost a royal wedding.
Okay, all right. So
David, everyone has to go and
So,
get
yeah.
that done.
So-
I think September
Nobody has
1,
cell phones
right?
anymore.
September 1, the hockey season went so long this year. Stanley Cup final went all the way till June 28th. It felt like then the draft, then free agency. Let's see. I think September 1 is kind of that day where everyone will get back on the phones and all right, let's bang this out. Time to go.
So
Eat
you're
a
not
little
worried?
pressure. I'm not worried at all.
you're not worried about it at all.
Not
You think,
worried at
what do
all.
you think the Bruins end up giving him?
Ooh, he's gonna get paid.
Eight?
He's gonna
Is-
be able
is-
to, get that board jumping
Yeah.
next fall when he gets.
Has an 8 in front of it?
Well, there's UC Saros, one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League, signed in Nashville a couple weeks ago for $8 million or 8 years, 7.74. So that set the market maybe a little bit lower. If he had went to free agency, I think that number would have been a lot higher. So he took a bit of a hometown discount to stay in Nashville. We've heard that before
Right.
here.
Does Swayman do
People
that?
kind of stay in Nashville. So that's the question.
Yeah.
And Igor Shesterkin's another great goaltender. He's up. He's expected to go like 8 years, $12 million. So there's a lot of room in there. But at the end of the day, the Bruins need Swayman. Swayman needs the Bruins. They'll get it done.
I think they'll get it done.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, it does seem crazy though. Like, don't they have cell phones? I mean, why couldn't they negotiate? Wouldn't you want to get it done if you're Swayman?
Work-life balance.
I guess
Well,
that's fair.
The Roman charges and
You,
the
you get
check
a, you
must
get
be
a you
crazy.
get a month off, and I think again because of that, that's why I'm not as nervous. That there isn't a lot of talk about it. No one's really, no one's upset about it on either side, which means that they should be close enough where they can work through it.
Mike, it could be the same kind of like the massive software glitch that occurred the last time you were on the show.
Yes, it's good to have reads and commercials and not have to talk for four
How was
straight
that?
hours.
How was that experience?
No, it was great. I mean, I'm with them, so it was perfect.
Ken Laird.
Yeah,
Was
Ken
Ken-
was coming in hot. He had
I heard
steam
you.
out of his ears.
I heard you might have been a little angry at Ken Laird.
Well, I feel like you might have set me up a little bit for the Friday morning in summer, but that's okay. We worked through it.
All right. Well, while you're here, Razor, I want to welcome back to our show Dr. Barrett Rollins, who is the Chief Scientific Officer Emeritus at Dana-Farber. How do you get Emeritus at the end of your name? I've always wanted to have Craig Hill Emeritus at the end of it.
All you have to do is live long enough.
Is that what that's all it requires?
That's all it
right,
takes.
That's all
You're
it
getting
takes.
there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I see some gray in that
Yeah,
beard.
there's some gray in that beard. Yeah, great to have you back.
Thank you.
And I love checking in with you and getting an update kind of on where things are when it comes to cancer. We were talking earlier about I don't want to give. I gave Courtney anxiety when I brought this up earlier, but it's really important to talk about the increased diagnosis that are occurring with young people is alarming, and I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that.
So we began to see a signal of that maybe 10 or 15 years ago, especially in younger women who were getting lung cancer, women who had never smoked before. But the really, the siren started going off in the past 5 or 10 years, especially with the increased incidence of colon cancer in young people who have otherwise healthy lifestyles. And, this is not true for every cancer, but it's true in enough cancers, and the numbers are getting big enough that we in the cancer business need to be prepared. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that we who do cancer research need to figure out what in the world is going on here. And to be honest, we don't know for sure. I think the best sort of assumption is that there is something in the environment that has been accumulating over years that is leading to these kinds of increased incidence in cancer, but we haven't identified what it is. But it is a major priority at Dana-Farber. We have an entire group, an entire center devoted to trying to figure out what's going on and to create an environment where we can do early detection in young people, because the earlier you detect this in somebody, the better off their outcome is going to be.
And certainly when thinking about giving, those who are listening right now, this is a really important thing that you guys are doing. And the funds that you give are going to go to help finding a way to not only to detect it early enough, but to figure out what's going on, because these are truly otherwise very healthy young people.
That's the amazing thing. And I'm so glad you brought up the point about philanthropy, because there's really no other way to do this right now. You know, there's no sort of government agency that's already sort of geared up and ready to support the kinds of things we were just talking about: early detection, figuring out causes, and so on. And so it's you know, we're incredibly fortunate that we live in this environment in New England where people are generous and they understand the importance of this kind of stuff. The whole reason Dana-Farber is there, and the whole reason the Jimmy Fund is there, is because of the generosity of the people in this community. And the next big goal is to ask for support for this kind of stuff, which then ends up helping the community.
What do you recommend? So 25 to 35-year-olds listening now, for me, it's my kids who I worry about all the time. What are you recommending? Because if you are otherwise healthy, you might not think you need to even look for a diagnosis. Like, what are you recommending?
Yeah. So we got to be really careful here. I mean, what we've identified is an important trend, but it's also important not to do things that aren't proven yet. So I worry about this too. My daughter, believe it or not, is having her 45th birthday tomorrow. And so she's incredibly healthy.
Did you have her when you were 10?
So that's a whole other story.
Okay.
There's a movie coming out. You can guess the casting. She is incredibly healthy, doing great, and I worry about her because she's in that demographic. But, you know, people might be tempted to say, okay, well, we got to do colonoscopies now on 35-year-olds. No. Can't really start talking about doing prevention and doing screening until the data are in. I mean, that's the science. And the problem with doing screening without the science is that sometimes screening results can lead to what we call false positives. You know, you see something that's not really there, somebody ends up getting some kind of intervention that could harm them. So you don't want to just go nuts screening people without the data. What we're trying to do at Dana-Farber is generate some of those data.
This event over 22 years has raised $70 million for Dana-Farber and the Jimmy Fund. What's the most impactful change when it comes to treatment that you've seen that is a result of that?
Well, there are really two of them that have completely changed things. So I have been at Dana-Farber for over 40 years. You know, academics have a chance to, you know, they're kind of like nomads. They like to go to different places, but I voted with my feet. I stayed at this place. And the difference between what I did, you know, in 1984 versus now is just mind-boggling. I'll give you two quick examples. One is in lung cancer, which, you know, it used to be we had nothing to, there was nothing we could do for these people. My father died of lung cancer, and, you know, when lung cancer patients appear and they've got disease that's spread to other organs, it used to be you could start a clock and 6 months later, no matter what you did, they were gone. Thanks to research that was initially supported by philanthropy, we discovered that there are mutations, there are alterations in genes that control the growth of lung cells. That led to the development of drugs to counteract those mutations. And now you have people who used to have a 6-month death sentence, who are living for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. They're seeing their grandkids that they never thought they'd see. It's just completely changed the way we take care of lung cancer. That's one thing. The second thing is, we always had the suspicion that our immune system could take care of cancer like it takes care of infections. But it wasn't working. And what our scientists discovered is that cancers make things that inhibit the immune system. And so now there's all these drugs that block the blocker. And so it unleashes the immune system. And now there are a handful, not a handful, there are a half dozen or more diseases that used to be complete killers that not only are the diseases being controlled, but some people are actually being cured with these drugs. So that's just, I can't tell you how different things are. And I expect to see the same sort of difference 10 years from now.
It's extraordinary,
Yeah.
the progress that's being made, and thank you for what you're doing. And it's great. It's always great to have you
Well,
on.
thank you for all of this. This is incredibly wonderful.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Raycroft. We appreciate it.
Please don't
Great to see you.
insult everybody.
Dr. Raycroft Emeritus.
Emeritus.
Yeah. That's,
Goaltender Emeritus. You do have that
I
status.
love how you asked about that, by the way. Though.
What?
The Emeritus. Like,
The
you were
Emer-
like, maybe you have a
I
chance.
would like to have it.
Like, yeah,
You
I know.
know,
You're like, how do I get that?
Right.
Can you just put it on a business card? Like
course.
Wiggy used to
Probably
have. Wiggy used to have Playboy photographer on his,
Jeez.
on his business
I
card.
put doctor in front of
The
mine.
poster.
Playboy photographer.
That's it.
Topical reference. Playboy.
Playboy, you've been in print anymore?
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you,
very
Doc.
much.